The Fast Life podcast is brought to you by Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Check out the new Rayleigh Outlaw Bandit and many other helmets at simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com. You can also catch the Simpson team at AIM Expo, which is a SEMA of the motorcycle world in Columbus, Ohio, September 26th through the 29th, which is open to the public. And as always, you can follow Simpson Motorcycle Helmets on Instagram and see all their shit. This podcast, man, we rode up to Omaha, which you heard in the last podcast, and then I met up with Steve Chamberlain, and me and him rode from Omaha to Sturgis, and we ended up catching up with the Thundermax guys, and looking forward to having them on this podcast here pretty soon, actually. And then we ended up meeting up with the Average Life of Bob on Instagram, who was basically a guy that Steve met at his up north camp out. You know what I mean? And then I met Steve at the Fast Life camp out, and then now we're all staying at Camp Zero, you know, just getting to know each other and having a good time. And, you know, it's just awesome how these campouts are starting to really grow the friends like network across America, basically. So we ended up riding all together, the three of us, Saturday, had a great fucking time. Got some tickets, at least me and Bob did. Steve was lucky. I don't know how he's the biggest one out of the bunch, but anyway, had a great time, and we ended up recording this podcast right after Bob got his ticket, and then I got one right after the podcast, so it was a good time. Or was it? I really don't know. But anyway, check out our sponsors here. Maybe you've heard the statement, Lindahl brakes on everything. And for me at the Fast Life Garage, that's been a statement that we've held true. The last couple of bike builds and the last customer bike builds we've done, we've pretty much ran Lindahl on all our stuff. So Lindahl makes some of the sexiest brake rotors and wheels on the market, backed up by some of the best brake pads in the industry. Check out lindahlbrakes.com and see what they have for your bike, and don't forget to use Fast Life at checkout for 10% off. And stay up to date with Lindahl team by following them on Lindahl Brakes on Instagram. I would also like to thank Kevin at BigBearPerformance.com. Kevin has stepped up the drop-in suspension game by offering a full 30mm cartridge kit, which is basically bringing you guys the glory of an inverted front end into your conventional forks in cartridge form. Check them out with many other options for your Harley-Davidson at BigBearPerformance.com. You can always give Kevin a call at 909-478-7788. He will answer the phone and answer all your questions and let you know why his products and Olin suspension is the best way to go for your Harley-Davidson. And don't forget to follow them on Instagram at Big Bear Choppers. I hope you guys are following Dream Rides John on Instagram. John's recent 1982 FXR shovel build is another fine example of the quality work and vision you're going to get from the team Dream Rides. From bike sales, maintenance to full custom builds, if Stockton, California is not close enough for you to stop by, check out their website, teamdreamrides.com. Use offer code FASTLIFE at checkout for 10% off your order. And this guy's amazing. They do some great work. He's a great friend of ours. He's done this podcast one time, and he's going to be on again. And they really do some badass FXR work and bike work, period. So hopefully you guys are following them and checking out all the shit they do. And, let them know you heard about them through this podcast. My guys at Lex and Moto build premium Bluetooth audio devices for riders at a realistic price point without sacrificing quality. Check out their product line at lexandmotorcycle.com and catch them as well at AIM Expo September 26th through the 29th. I use these headsets on a daily commute and my cross-country rides as well. Order yours and use Fast Life at checkout and save 15% off at lexandmotorcycle.com. And also give them a follow at Lex and Moto on Instagram. They do a lot of cool shit in the motorcycle industry, and they're my boys. And I had a fun time talking with Mark on this podcast, and you guys should check out that episode as well. So don't forget, follow them, lexandmotorcycle.com, as well as Lex and Moto on Instagram. Paint Huffer Metal Flake is the industry standard when it comes to flake, and one of the key elements in helping your paint job stand out. If you're a painter looking for a plethora of flake or pearl options to many other custom paint products, check out painthuffer.com. Use Fast Life at checkout, save 15% off. If you're looking for the right painter or the right idea for your paint job, go to Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and check out all the different painters and styles of paint jobs that have been done with Paint Huffer Metal Flake over the last couple of years. Check it out. It's a really good time. I even go on there every once in a while when I'm stumped with design ideas, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I did, so that's what I do. Check it out. I would also like to thank and remind you guys about our Patreon system, which helps fund and keep this podcast rolling on the airways. So if you get a chance, go to fastlifegarage.com. Check out the front page. There's a link for the Patreon. All you got to do is $1 a month if you like, and that helps us out, man. That's $12 a year. You know, it's I don't think it's going to really hurt your pocket, but it will add up and help us do so many things with this podcast. So at any rate, I really appreciate what you guys are already doing. You're making us some of the number one guys with our current, what do you call them, offer codes. Like, really appreciate you guys reaching out to these companies and checking out their products and reaching out to them at events and saying you heard them on the podcast, man. That really helps out. Yeah, it's been great. So I thank you guys so much for doing this shit. And also want to thank, fucking Steve and Bob here on this podcast. You guys, I had a great time with you and really looking forward to more, riding and just partying with you guys. So here it is, the Sturgis Rips.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Howdy, partners.
How are you guys doing?
Doing it. Fun times. What's Justin Kelly say?
Good times and hate crimes.
There you go. Yeah, this house is dope, man. We're just sitting on this back patio of a
big old log cabin up on top of a mountain out in Lead, South Dakota.
So who got the place and hooked it all up for all of us?
It was Spadford Choppers.
So you got to thank
Matt
him for all this.
Matt and Ray.
So
awesome guys.
So we got me and you were staying in the house. We got Daniel from Proper Baggers
and his two buddies.
Matt from how do you say that shop name?
Spadford Choppers.
Spadford Choppers. And then you got Race Glide coming in.
Yep.
And then Big Bear's coming tonight. Kevin and his wife and I think his daughter.
Yep.
And who else is supposed to be here? Who are the guys that are here right now?
Those are Matt and Ray's buddies.
Okay.
So
that works.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, shit, man. Introduce yourself, because I still.
Right. Yeah. So my name's Bob. The Average Life of Bob on Instagram. Lucky enough to go out and actually meet up with Steve at the Up North camp out in Michigan a couple weeks ago. Go rip some bikes. Finally get around some dudes that like to put Olins on their Harleys and go a little fast. A little too fast sometimes, unfortunately, but it's been good. So
you live up in Wisconsin?
Yep, I'm
up
in Milwaukee.
How much riding like that do you get to do? Like the track days and stuff like you've been talking about?
Yeah, so this year I'll get probably 7 or 8 in for the season. So far, I think I've done 4 this year. There's a couple of tracks right around there that are super close. Road America, if you follow racing at all, they do Moto America series there.
Yeah.
It's a fun track to go out and ride on if you have a stock motor on your Harley like I do. It's not as fun as it could be because it's so fast. I mean, you're pretty much 100 plus the whole way, it seems like, pinned the entire time. And then there's another small track that's super tight. It's about 1.9 mile loop that's in South Beloit called Black Hawk Farms Raceway. And that's the one that I really go to a lot. I like getting out there. It's a fun track on the Harley. You can actually keep up and bomb into some corners and try and take work out of.
Is there anybody else up there?
Guys.
Anybody else up there on doing it on Harleys, or are you kind of the only one right now?
I'm the only one. I get a lot of weird looks in tech inspection. They look at my bike and they're like, I don't even know what to look at. At least we don't have to worry about your coolant because it's the atmosphere, so that's good. But I mean, it's strange. I'm trying to get more and more people into it. The Shred Motoco guys out in California, Tony and that crew out there really kind of lit a fire under me. I was always thinking about getting out on the track, and my buddies are all sport bike guys pretty much. They started doing track days, and they're like, bring the Harley out. Saw some people doing it. I was like, all right, it can be done. Yeah. Went out there, had a lot of fun. I mean, the first time you get out there, you realize what's wrong with your bike and how your suspension's not set up right and your bars are too high. And, you know, you put the basic Dyna Club style bike together or whatever and realize it lags a lot. I get one of the things that I've been getting a lot from a lot of people is like questions about seats and bars and this and that and the other. And it's kind of hard to build a track bike and a bike that you ride. It's kind of like you got to give a little on both sides of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, certainly. So the way my bike was set up before, I had 12-inch bars on it. I had regular mid controls. I still run the same seat. I've got a LePera Daytona flat track stitch seat on it. It's pretty slippery. It's not great to ride on, but tank grippers help that. As far as a track bike goes, though, you want your pegs up high, out of the way, so you can get some ground clearance. There's the Shred Motoco Shred pegs that are there, and then the Balin's mids bring it back a couple inches, and then up a couple inches. So I'm back 3 inches, up 2 inches from stock on the foot pegs.
And say your lean angle is insane. When you just watch behind you and you're throwing it down, it's like you're way leaned in. And
the helmet, move it over here. Sorry guys, we're outside, so we're trying to get all these y'all's mics were picking each other up, so it's all good.
This better over here.
Yeah.
All right. So just me following behind you, just seeing like the amount of lean angle you have on your bike is absolutely insane.
So what do you have it jacked up to right now, height wise?
So I'm 2 inch over in the front. I got the Olin's Nix 22 cartridges in the front, just 2 inch over tubes in the front, and then I got 13.5 inch Olin's that I put the 1 inch Big Bear extenders on, so I'm about 14.5 in the rear.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot with the ground clearance, just getting the bike up high, and then the peg position too is really crucial for that. But I'll scrape them on the track, but even out on the roads, out ripping. We were riding pretty hard today, and I wasn't even close to scraping them, even out here in the Black Hills. So it's a good setup. It's a lot of fun. The one thing that is a little tough with it is doing trips, having your knees up in your chin and your bars down low. It's not as comfortable as it used to be.
Yeah.
So.
But it was still cool to up north camp out. You had a 6 or 7 hour trip that you went and took your track bike to go ride to a camp out, with loaded down with gear and beer and White Claws, of course.
Yeah, we stopped right when we about a mile away from the campsite to pick up some White Claws, and of course Steve comes rolling in with his crew, and this big group of badass bikers comes in on their performance Harleys and cleans out a gas station of White Claws, which was a pretty funny sight to see.
Hell yeah.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
Yeah, I was able to do the Lake Michigan loop. It was about 980, almost 1,000 miles in a weekend on what is a track bike, and I felt it for a little while afterwards.
I was going to say, because when you came from Milwaukee to Chicago, and then up, West Michigan, and then you went home, you decided to go up over the Mackinac Bridge, and then go up and around, so you did do the full loop.
It's crazy. It's 1,000 miles to do that whole loop, basically.
It's about it's a little less. It's like 900. You can make it in Iron Butt. A couple people do if you follow the coast the whole way. So you go up into the Door County Peninsula in Wisconsin. Yeah. You can make it. I think it's like 1,050 miles.
That's a good way to get in Iron Butt, is going around that though. That'd be way funner than just driving across Texas.
It is cool, like riding the coastline in Michigan. I like it. That's a lot of the roads I ride. I'm more towards like Grand Rapids, Muskegon area in Michigan. So I just go shoot over by Lake Michigan, and then you have some nice curvy roads with a little bit of elevation change. It's no Black Hills or anything. But it's still fun.
Do you think that there will ever be something in like the track day type stuff you're doing where there is more of a competitiveness for the Harley guys? Because obviously it would have to be enough people doing it to create some type of event for it or whatever. But
so they were talking to it, and I was talking to Tony a little bit too. Out there, the guys in California, I think they needed 8 or 10 people to have a class in the ARMA racing, so just club level racing. Yeah. I could definitely see some areas if you can get a solid group of guys together to get out there and go rip your Harleys. Link up with the performance shops that are around, see who's out there ripping the canyons or the twisty roads wherever you live. And if they're interested in going to the track, there's no cops there. There's no cars looking at you.
The road's smooth.
The road's nice and smooth. You're not going to come around a corner and all of a sudden, there's a gravel washout across it. If you do, unfortunately, hit the ground, you got runoff areas, which is awesome. But I could see it at a club level, definitely. Getting a series put together. As it stands right now, you pretty much have to race in like a Twins Cup type class. Some of them will allow Sportsters. So like our local race series allows Sportsters to race against like Ninja 400s, that kind of class. It's a way different bike because you don't have the lean angle, but you actually have a little bit more go than a 400 does. So you're a little better in the straightaways, but they can carry so much corner speed. It's just kind of trying to figure all that out. I could see it happening. It's going to take some people that are really dedicated to it and really want to make it happen to kind of talk to those organizations for sure.
So explain like what you need as far as if you want to go to a track day, like what's your tech inspection, what's your gear choice, or what's needed, as far as a track day.
Can you ride there with like beer on your sissy bar and then just So
you can ride there with beer on your sissy bar. If they see you drinking, your day's done.
Oh,
during it. Yeah.
Well, like what? Because we were thinking about going the night before because the track's down in Dallas.
Yeah.
You can camp at them.
Yep.
So we just thought about going there and getting fucked up one night. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but it sounds way cooler to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, we do that all the time where we'll show up at the track the day before because a lot of times you're getting to the track at 7 a.m. So if you got a 2-hour drive, you're leaving your house at 5 a.m. Because you got to unload the bikes, you got to get your pop-up set up. I will say if you do go to the track and do a track day, bring a pop-up, bring a cooler full of a lot of liquids. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water and stuff throughout the day. The pop-up's nice to get out of the sun because none of these tracks really have tree cover.
Yeah.
They're kind of in the middle of a field pretty much.
Yeah.
At least the ones that we go to. And as far as tech inspection goes, they'll have all that information on the website from whatever organization's putting it together. Some of the key things, you need to have more than 50% life left on your tires. If you do have a bike that has coolant, there's specific coolant regulations. A lot of the people that are listening to this aren't going to be, running coolant in their bikes because we have the atmosphere as our coolant.
Yeah.
But in the novice group, you need to have full leathers. You can have a 2-piece, but it has to be able to zip around. You need to have boots over the ankle, is what they say. I would suggest a pair of track boots. You can get them for relatively cheap or find them somewhere. Just because it gives you a little bit better feel on the pegs. They're a little bit more supportive and protective. You need to have gauntlet-style gloves, so they got to come up over your wrist. And then you need to have a full-face helmet. You can't run a modular helmet. You can't run an open-face helmet. I
wonder how they feel about, because I was thinking about this, all the helmets we do, we always paint over the DOT stickers. I wonder if they would trip on that, even though like they would know, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm not really sure how that is because there's guys that'll have custom helmets and stuff there. I mean, obviously, if you're rolling in with a Bell Star, they know what a Bell Star is. They've seen a Bell Star a million times on the track. It's a great track helmet. That's what I use. So if you rolled in with this, they'd be totally fine. Some of them aren't as strict on gear either. The last track day that I did with Sport Bike Track Time, they didn't even check our gear before we got on track, which was amazing. There was a guy out there with a modular helmet. I was pretty surprised to see that. And yeah, but as far as like the novice group goes, it's pretty easy. I mean, you're going to be a novice. I don't care how fast you think you are. You're going to start in novice. You're going to be in that for several track days probably, just to kind of get the feel of it, get used to being at speed and that close.
So do y'all have a 3-tier system too, where it's like novice and then like amateur or something like that, and then more of a, because they say like once you start getting a certain speed on the track is something like, I mean, obviously the speed is going to come with the skill,
right? So
then that's how they start moving you up when you start becoming a faster rider on the track. Is that how it works for you guys?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. So in Wisconsin at least we have novice and then we have intermediate. Some of the organizations will do fast intermediate and slow intermediate, so they'll break it out into 2 groups.
Yep.
And then advanced. Out in California it's A group, B group, C group. Pretty easy. C group I believe is the slow one. I haven't done a track day out there yet, hoping to get out there over the winter.
It's really cool to see it kind of starting to blossom. You know, like when I talk to people that don't ride Harleys, but they do the race, it's kind of like I could see it in their eyes, like, why would you do that? You know? But to me, it's fun, like getting on a bike that's not supposed to do this shit. And, you know, the modifications you do. And then once you know, one of the things that I've noticed about my bike is it's exposed my weaknesses, having like Olin's on it. And now the better braking, like all this, it exposes my skill level way more than, you know, I thought at the beginning. So
yeah, certainly. And I mean, you learn so much on the track too, because if you're on the road, unless you've ridden that road 1,000 times, you're not getting the type of laps around the same corners where you can really work on your body position. You can work on your trail braking. You can work on riding a motorcycle in the best way possible. I mean, you're going around a track that has 10 turns and you do, I mean, 20 minutes at a time for an entire day around the same track with 10 turns. It's a minute and a half a lap. I mean, you get to really, really work things out as you get into the corners and understand it. And the really nice thing too is once you get on the road after that, it slows everything down. Because the corner you take at 65 miles an hour on the track, you would take at 40 miles an hour and feel like you're cooking on the road. And I mean, it really helps with your reaction time. It helps, you know, just make you a better rider for sure. But
I need one of those damn wind things on my shit. But no, y'all's are good. But I just lost the one on this mic. So when the wind starts howling in, I try to turn the volume down, and then I try to say something, and I'm like, oh, it's not picking me up now.
So you're saying you have like 20-minute times on the track. How fatigued are you when you get off the track after a 20-minute session? Like,
yeah, I mean, I like to drink beer. I don't exercise as much as I should. So I'm pretty beat after a 20-minute session. Like that 40 minutes that you have before your next session, because it's every hour you run pretty much. Some of the organizations are like 15 minutes.
You do the 20 minutes and then you're in the classroom. Do y'all do the classroom still?
Yeah.
Because now we have that in Texas called Ride Smart.
Yep.
So they do like 20 minutes on the track and then you go back in the classroom and they got all these people out there taking pictures and videos. So like you're able to like really hone in and have a better experience of finding your weaknesses in your riding and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's a couple different days that they have. So the track day I actually did at Road America, there was a guy that showed up and thought it was a track school like that, where there was the classroom. And you would, have the coach with you, teaching you how to ride. It'd be a lot of classroom time. He showed up on pretty much a bone stock Fat Bob, the Dyna version, not the Softail version.
Oh, shit.
And at a track that fast, you could definitely tell he was a little out of his element. But he was out there and he was doing it. He was having a good time. I was able to catch up with him and talk with him a little bit and be like, yeah, this is kind of how you want to ride these bikes. This is what you're looking to do. To try and help them out on the track at least.
Yeah.
And if anyone does want to do a track day and I'm there, or you reach out to me, like I definitely would be happy to help as much as I can. I'm by no means a professional road racer by any stretch of the imagination, but I've picked up a few things here and there. So just look at the organization. They have riding schools. If it says it's a riding school, it will have the classroom and stuff. That's a great thing to do your first time out because then you're not going to be creating bad habits.
Yeah.
And then otherwise they just have track days. If it's considered just a track day, you can talk to the control riders and the coaches that are out there in your group. There's going to be guys that are experienced road racers or at least very experienced on the track. And they'll help you with your lines. They'll help you with your body position, kind of where you're braking, visual markers, give you some pointers here and there that'll help you get a lot faster.
Nice.
So,
how much have you felt like that you've improved since your first track day? Like times on same tracks, like how much have you gained since the first time around the track to where you're at now? And how long have you been doing track days?
Yeah, so this is my second season doing track days. I only did 3 last year, and in the third one I blew my top end on my motor. That is one thing it's hard on the bikes, but as long as your bike's set up right and you're not using the engine to slow you down because you don't have brakes like I was doing before I put dual galfers and Tokikos up front and that stuff.
See, after the day, I mean, we'll get to more of our day today because it's pretty fun. But, riding today, I feel like if I really start going down that path, I want to build another bike like a Dyna or something. I just feel like the bagger's a little bit too big for me. Like, the way you're a much bigger guy than I am, and you can manhandle that bike a lot more than I can on my bike. So I feel like a smaller bike would make me a little bit easier to just do that shit.
Around.
Yeah, where you put your weight on, it's going to make a much bigger difference. That's the thing when you're on a big touring bike, like you guys saw today when we were riding, even going into a corner, if I didn't really need to be off the bike, I'm still getting my butt off the seat. I'm still trying to lean over as far as I can, get my body off as far as I can, because you don't want to lean the bike more than you have to. So that keeps your bike more upright in the middle of the corners. Unless you're, a big dude like Steve, your weight's not going to make hardly any difference on an 850-pound bagger, no matter where your body position is. Unfortunately, I mean, that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. It's going to be a lot more counter steering and kind of pushing the bike to go where you want it versus being able to just get your body in the right position. And
so how was the camp out, man? Like how?
Camp out. It was a good time in my book. We ended up having some weird weather that came through. I thought it was just going to be like super hot. It was like 90, 95 up there. And, we're sweating pretty good. And then a couple crazy storms came through. I had it sleeping in my tent 6 a.m. I wake up, my tent's like folded over into my face because the wind's hitting me so hard.
Damn.
But we had people come in from all over and had a good time. I met a ton of new people that I talked to on Instagram and all that. Bob came out and was telling me and everything that he was coming out, and never met him at the gas station, when we were riding with a group of people that I all met that day. And we just had a good old time, made the best of the...
That's what's cool about those things because, I mean, we met at the camp out.
Yes.
And then, like Craig and fucking my machinist and there's all these people that have starting to create like this little group of camp session, like when you're camping and you create this like friendship bond with everybody. It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you two on there, and now we're partying and hanging out and shit. So
yeah, then I had some buddies from like Pennsylvania and like Virginia and stuff that came out, and they've done some trips and everything, but like this just amped it up so much for them to like do longer trips. Like it made it so it wasn't a big deal. It's like at your destination, it wasn't like, oh, look at the scenery. It was like, hey, all these people that, you know, I've talked to, like now you get to go drink some beer and bullshit with them or do whatever you want to do, you know, and it just made it a good old time, you know.
That's good.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, coming into it too, I didn't know anyone there at all. And it was like, all right, I'm going to go meet a bunch of strangers from the internet. Exactly what they tell you not to do growing up. And, but just the way that social media can kind of connect people that have similar interests with these bikes. And then you show up there and everyone's super cool. They're all welcoming, like with open arms. Just come hang out, you know, drink some White Claws and drink some beers. We did have beers too. But, you know, just talk about motorcycles, shoot the shit, make fun of each other. And it's a great time. I mean,
who looped the bike?
That's my buddy Zach.
585
FXDB on Instagram. He we were doing a little wheelie session right out in front, you know, of the campground, and he ended up, you know, we did a ton of them back and forth, and then I think he told himself that was his last one, and then it just came up too high and his feet slipped off the pegs, and you know, he went over backwards and he ended up breaking a couple bones in his arm.
Damn, he did?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And then when we're sitting there doing a wheelie session in front of the campground, it was funny. Somebody apologized to like the campground owner, and she just goes, "Well, the law ain't here, so."
You the law?
And I mean, it was this road is the main highway up there, basically, that they were on too. It was very
pretty sketchy.
Busy. There were cars that were stopping. They were waiting on the side of the road to try and find a gap in traffic and go do this. And it definitely got a lot of looks, but it was cool to watch, cool to be a part of. Everyone was, you know, having a good time.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the camp out? Like, is that the first time you've ever done any of that type of shit?
So I've done camp trips. My buddies from home, we've got our moto trip group that we have where we'll go out to the western part of the state in the driftless area. It's nice and hilly out there. You can get some canyon-esque roads that are super curvy, and we'll go out there and camp. But it's, you know, 4 or 5 of us that will go do that. This is the first time, other than, you know, coming to Sturgis where you don't know anyone and everyone's got their own clique and no one really talks to anyone. It's the first time I've done a camp out like this. Yeah. And that's what I was, you know, maybe a little bit worried about going into it. Like, hey, are these guys going to just be in their friend groups and I'm going to be off in the corner? Like, oh, what's going on?
Well, see, that's kind of the way we try not to do it. We try to, like, you know, how, I don't know how much you were a part of all of our talking about how we set up the camp out, but we really wanted everybody to camp in the same spot.
Yeah.
That way you didn't really have that option to break away. Like one fire, I mean, we still had a couple little groups here and there, like you, Mark, and a couple other dudes will be over there talking. But the majority of the people sat around the fire, so that's how the friendships get made because, you know, that introductory part is kind of awkward. Yeah. You know, like I was thinking about that last night when I was sitting around the fire with those dudes that they were throwing that camping thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, like I know all y'all are friends and stuff, but if you're gonna throw this kind of event, the whole idea is to make people that are coming in feel like, you know, welcome or, you know, you don't want to be that weird guy that just stands up and go, hey guys, my name's this, and you know, I like to fish, and you know, be that. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's definitely the awkward introductions at these that were. Yeah. It wasn't awkward at all because everyone knew it, and then it was, in my mind, kind of a silver lining too. We had some really bad weather on Saturday, and unfortunately, we didn't get to go ride very much, and that's what a lot of us came there to do. But we also came there to meet new people and, you know, build a network of people with similar interests that like these motorcycles. And there was this big pavilion. We rolled all the bikes in there after the wheelie session. Unfortunately, we had a little break after the wheelie session. We all just went back in the pavilion and hung out. Someone fired up their bike. I think Skunk was playing music on his bike. He's got a badass sound system in his motorcycle, in his bagger. Playing music, we're just drinking, having a good time. Everyone's talking. You're walking around the room, talking to every single person there, and just having fun. And I mean, that's really what it's all about.
And everybody's bikes are parked all in there. So then you start talking bikes and what do you have done to this? And you know, I'm thinking about that. I'll throw a leg over my bike. You know, try out these bars, try out this seat. You know, type thing.
It's funny how we all do this shit and we get so stoked about it, but there's not really women there. And all the dudes are just stoked, like, fuck, we're going to do this. And it's like, there's no chicks there, basically.
Well, that's the funny thing. I mean, people are like, oh, yeah, buy a motorcycle. You get a bunch of girls. It's like, nah, I just get attention from a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. The only ones that get the girls are the ones with LEDs on it.
Yeah, no LEDs on my bike. Maybe I'll throw some on.
Yeah.
So what, is this your first time coming to Sturgis or what?
It's my second time coming to Sturgis. I came out with one of my buddies last year. We stayed at the Buffalo Chip and just partied super fucking hard the whole time, pretty much. Didn't really ride all that much.
Yeah.
It was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was fun. The Buffalo Chip is it's a good place to go and have a good time, I guess. But it's an interesting crowd. Some good people watching going on there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
That is fun to go to those events, man. Like we got Rot Rally down in Austin, and everybody's like, "Oh, I don't want to go to the campgrounds or fairgrounds, whatever the hell they want to call it. I don't want to go there. Shit's fucking nobody's riding. It's not biking and stuff." I was like, "Oh, they're fucking doing biker stuff down there. It's just different."
Yeah.
You know, they got this thing called the Nude Mile, where it's just basically, I mean, this place is covered in like RVs and side by sides and all that shit. So basically the same thing at like usually the real big campgrounds that are at like a Buffalo Chip and shit. Mm-hmm. But what happens is it gets dark and there's like this loop that people do, and they get on their bikes and they kind of ride in circles. They're side by sides in golf carts, and chicks get naked, dude.
We had something up like that by us that I went to one year.
Yeah,
Fowlerville. I think it was an Easy Riders show or something. It was in Fowlerville, Michigan. That gets wild. I'm not going to say too much about it. If you're going to want to go, like, it's definitely like a golf cart rally, but there's bikes and everything, but it gets wild.
If you go to those things just in your head, like, look, I'm going here to party, then you're going to be happy because that's exactly what you're going to do.
Right.
But, like, going down there to think that you're going to do all this other shit, and then be mad because you didn't, it's like, come on, dude, like, just go party and have a good time. If you want to go ride, then leave and go ride, and,
And that's one thing that I've realized, too, a lot. I mean, like, coming to this trip, coming to the up north camp out, I did have a buddy last minute say that he'd come with me. I was planning on just going by myself.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, everyone's got busy schedules. We're all adults. We all have, jobs. Some of us have families. I don't personally, so I get to do a lot of fun stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But I have a job, not a family. Anyways, I mean, just if you want to go do something, just go do it.
Yeah.
Make friends. Like, even if you have to go by yourself, just throw a leg over your bike. You're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Manage your expectations and just be happy about it.
Yeah, sometimes, it's going to be just by yourself,
Right.
But if you meet people and you're a nice person and cool and everything and go in an inviting situation, next thing you know, you got friends, all over the country.
Yeah. And that having lots of friends everywhere, it's like, it adds another element to your traveling on bikes, because now it's like, not only are you like, fuck, man, I want to go to New York, but you're like thinking of all the homies you've made in between here in New York that you want to hang out with on the way, you know what I mean? So
like Google's going to tell you to go this way, but you're like, well, if I reroute it 50 minutes this way, I can go see my homie, in this town.
Yeah.
It's an extra 50 minutes, but next thing you know, you're hanging out with him, and it changes the whole experience and everything.
Yeah.
Like, on the way out here, I met you in Omaha, and you're like, how far is Omaha in your direction? I'm like, it looks like it's about an hour out of the way, but that extra hour of riding was worth it. So then the whole second day we could ride. And, so.
Yeah, Omaha was cool, man. But yeah, it was the same thing for me. So it was an hour the opposite direction of, going this way. But, so you drove the Sprinter all the way up here, huh?
Yeah, so I cheated. I rode out last year. This year, changed the bike setup. Like I said, not that comfortable. I didn't really feel like riding all the way out here with gear and doing all that. Also wanted to bring a mini bike so I could be an idiot on that a little bit around the campground. So drove the Sprinter van out. Got a Sprinter for track days, realized, hey, this is actually great for trips too.
Nice.
Sleep in it, which is nice. But yeah, I mean,
this shit works out nice, man. I don't really hate people that don't ride, like that. Like, I don't know the right word to use, but it's not that big of a deal to me. We just joke about it. But
yeah, you just like to give shit.
It's cool to do rides, but there's also so many great reasons why you should or you could trailer an event like this. I mean, especially depending on where you live. Like, to be honest with you,
Bannon is not trailer.
Yeah, it's not.
It's a little different. It's a little different. And in all reality, I mean, the ride from
Milwaukee... You just can't do it with a dually.
Yeah.
It's... fuck these. No, I totally get it, man. The first time I came here, we ended up trailering the bikes, but it was because the guy that invited me, that gave us a place to stay at his place, and they were trailering. I was like, all right, we'll throw my bike up there. But I hadn't made any really trip. Like, I had rode to Florida once, and I rode to Arizona Bike Week once, but I hadn't really got the travel ride bug yet.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was 6 years ago. Yeah, last year would have been my 5th year in a row for Sturgis, and I ended up missing it. And then this year I wasn't planning on coming, but it just, I woke up on Sunday or Monday morning. I was like, I'm going to Sturgis.
we'll just make it happen. You know.
I think I texted you and found out what you were doing. I texted Daniel from Proper Baggers. Was like, hey dude, I think I'm gonna come. And I was trying to see if there was place in anybody's house to stay.
Yep.
Or because we were talking about the other campground too. Like it's gonna be like $120 for 5 days at that other one that I stayed in, the Days End or some shit.
Yep.
It's a badass campground.
Yep.
Really nice. The bar doesn't close at 9.
I mean, that wasn't too bad though. We just got to get our own beer.
The good thing about the camp last night is that we didn't have to pay. But
yeah,
what'd you think about riding across Nebraska? Like, how'd you like that?
It was pretty decent. You know, like coming up into the Badlands area. Was that in South Dakota or is that in Nebraska yet?
South Dakota. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, a ride across Nebraska. We had a lot of fun. It's cool when you can like link up with somebody, and even you're doing a road trip and you just can haul ass, and it's like you don't need to like push the guy over in the lane. It's like you already know that he's going to be out of your way when you're coming up to the car ahead of you and everything. It's really nice when you get that proper bike etiquette on a long trip. What I like, I mean, the roads in Nebraska are nice, dude.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Those roads that we rode yesterday are smooth and fucking taken care of.
Pretty much 2-lane back roaded it all the way from Omaha to Sturgis.
And man, we barely saw any cops, and we were lucky. So we were kind of getting it for the most part around 100 miles an hour. A lot of it, 90 to 100.
Yeah.
And every time there was a cop, it was always like when we slowed down or
in a little town.
Something like that.
You come up into a town, like I'll always, if a town drops down at a 35, 45 mile an hour speed limit, like I'll just go 35, 45 through it. I don't need to bust it through the town. But then it's like you get out of town, and I'm like, all right, just start twisting the throttle, and you get it where the bike feels comfortable. And
it's weird how, like, I think what's his name, was it Luke that we did the podcast with the other day?
Yeah,
his name was Luke, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the white trash Jesus.
Yep.
So
that's his Instagram.
He was talking. Remember, he was saying how like there's like a line where it turns from crops to cattle.
Yep.
And it kind of was like that. I think right before we got to Valentine, it went from basically like trees and crops and shit, and then it just was like grasslands.
Yep.
No trees anywhere. You could see fucking like this, but it was awesome.
Wow. Cows and pastures all over the place.
I mean, that's super nice blasting at 100 miles an hour too, because you get out into wooded areas, and it's fun to go fast, but then something jumps out in front of you or whatever. But having that visibility, it's super nice.
I was feeling like that somewhere. I got that. Trying to think, I had that feeling of like kind of worried about something jumping out in front of us, but I can't remember if it was in Nebraska or if it was last night somewhere we were riding.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I was out.
We were on. Yeah, you can go.
I was out in like the Tail of the Dragon area and smoked a turkey on my bike. I just saw it in the road, and I started to like slow down, didn't really know where to go, and it flew up and just hit my fairing, and then I ducked underneath it and went bouncing up over the top of it.
How'd you like Tail of the Dragon?
It was a lot of fun.
That's one I've yet to do.
Yeah. I would definitely suggest it. If you do go out there, though, try and find a time where you can go on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday during the week.
I've done it. I did it on my FXR, and of course, I was not in the mindset of like really trying to rip corners. I like the faster ones and shit, but so I was like wore the fuck out after all those goddamn turns, just back and forth.
Well, it was wild. I was talking to my buddy that I went out there with. He was on an Aprilia Tuono, so a hell of a lot more bike than I was on, certainly. But it's so tight that it. I mean, really,
it's almost like the V-twin's kind of good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could grab a fistful of throttle and not really have to worry about sliding out, coming out of a corner, driving out of a corner. If he did that, his front wheel was coming up or he was losing his back end at the speeds that we were going at. But the crazy thing is there's so many turns. It feels like an entire track session, just one pass. And I mean, you're just like spent at the end of it, and it's hot. We took the van down there. I bought my tracksuit.
That whole area is cool though. Like especially if you're where the cafe is, it just feels like you're in like this motorcycle universe, like a different multiverse kind of thing. It's like this is just bikes around here.
Like they want you down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the most famous motorcycle roads in America.
I forget who was telling me it, but there's like another guy that's trying to like bought a big section of road and it's like repaving it all somewhere. I think it was in West Virginia or something like that. And they're trying to make it more like Tail of the Dragon or another. Like I don't know enough details on it.
I don't know if
somebody's talking about it.
Do you know this? Do you know if they have like a camp thing around there, the Tail of the Dragon, where you could camp there and shit? Because it'd be dope to set up a camp out there.
Right.
That would be cool. The camp spot that we stayed at was like really family oriented. It feel like we did camp out there. We were out there. It was called Cave Creek Campground, I believe, and it was a little sketchy rolling in at night because we're going past like standalone trailers, which is pretty terrifying housing situation. Anyways,
did that pick up on the mic? Jace just shit himself.
Sorry.
Hey, at least we're outside, right? There's a little bit of a breeze too, so we're gonna be all right.
My stomach is hurting, dude.
Oh, it's so gorgeous out here.
Yeah, McDonald's and pizza doesn't do too good for the guy. Eating, a bunch of beers. But
fucking White Claws.
I only had like 2 White Claws last night, and I was like, "Oh fuck this!" I had to beer.
Drinking White Claws and then drinking beer is like that thing about drinking liquor and beer. Like it just doesn't work for me.
No,
I was feeling rough this morning.
Yeah.
I was not feeling great this morning. That's for sure.
I don't get how you, Jay, stayed in your tent as long as you did. You know,
dude,
it was like 10,
up.
and it was hotter than fuck. Like,
dude, I woke up, I still had the flannel on.
Yeah,
I just got so hot in there. That's what woke me up.
Yeah. That's what it was for me this morning too. It just turns into a sauna. I have no vents or anything on my van. It's just the Sprinter, and it's just bare bones. I mean,
they got those little fans they got in there.
The camping roof vents with the fans.
That's exactly what I need.
Little 12-foot fan. Get like a secondary battery so you don't run it too much throughout the night and then run out of battery.
Yeah, I mean the one nice thing about that though, when you're camping or you're sleeping outside, you can't really sleep in. It's the sun comes out. Unless it's like a cloudy, rainy day, and then it doesn't matter. Yeah, by all means, sleep in. But if it's a beautiful day and you're out to go ride motorcycles and explore the area that you're in, you stay in a tent. You're up early. Yeah, like you're not sleeping till 11 o'clock, even if you party hard the night before. So it just kind of gets you moving and gets you going, which I like personally. Like, yeah, it's a little rough in the beginning, but you start to feel better.
Yeah, or you can be like my buddy Anthony at the North Camp Out. He got woken up to his own bike on his rev limiter by the old famous Peaches, just bouncing off the rev limiter with the pipe, the Fab 28 pipe just shooting right at the door. He unzips it. I mean, a middle finger comes right out. He was so hungover at that point.
Yeah, it was funny too. Another thing about that as well, no one got that on video. There was not a single person that took a video of that. I mean, there's 20-something people there,
right?
And no one took a video of it. But that's also the beauty of those campouts. At least at the one in northern Michigan, I don't know how yours was. Like some of these places you go there and everyone is so worried about Instagram and posting a story and getting the right pictures and like doing all that stuff. And at that place, I mean, I took like 4 pictures the whole time I was there. And everyone's just having a good time and enjoying like the presence of the other people. You're not sitting there just staring at your phone the whole time.
That's kind of what I was saying about last night and it's the same thing for us because we go in there and we're all pissed after the show, after it, because like, fuck man, we didn't take any pictures.
Yep.
You know, it's like, how are anybody gonna know that we did this?
I catch myself a lot at like, events and everything. I take like random pictures where it's like I'll quick pop out my phone. I take a picture of like the situation, everybody talking and congregating. I'm just walking back from the bathroom. I'm like, this is awesome. I pull my phone out, just quick zoom it, hit the picture, and then I just, then I'll just randomly, post it up, maybe later, just send it to the people that are in it, type thing. But it's like capturing more the situation than, everything. I'm not good at always taking pictures and, pulling off side of the road and,
See, I'm trying to do that more just because because you go to the campouts and you don't really get a lot of good pictures and shit from it. But it is cool to, be able to check out, and it does change the dynamic when everybody's like trying to do something for the gram while you're there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And then
it's all part of the connection and meeting people and everything, because then it's like you park your bike next to this guy's bike and, you take a picture and then, somebody's going, oh, who's...
It's like you want to get the shit on video of the crazy shit that takes place. Like when we did a Nitty Gritty last year, the dude jumped over the fucking bonfire with the mini bike. Yeah, dude, get your phone out for that, dude. That's going to be good.
We all had our phones out when people were doing wheelies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking pictures there.
Another great thing, I'm going to do it more next year at the next Up North camp out. It just randomly we started doing some old school biker games.
Yeah, we want to do some shit like that too.
And then like in a big event rally, they got that set up. I'm not really interested. But when it's all my buddies that are sitting there and we hop on our bikes, at 11 o'clock at night in the campground, we're like, all right, slow bike race, and everything. And I'm like, all right, I got lifted suspension, a 124 comp eliminator. I was like, and then heavy clutch springs. I was like, let's see how slow we can make this thing go. And I ended up winning that between all my buddies. That's awesome. And everything. But when it's all your buddies, it's fun,
Yeah.
Right before that too, they had these little trikes.
Oh, those trikes were badass.
They put like motorcycle suspension on the front of it. They slammed it out so it didn't really have actual springs, and it was front wheel drive. Just had pedals on a through axle on these trikes.
Oh, they were like a legitimate like old school motorcycle frame. They had like triple trees on it and like motorcycle front suspension, and then it was like the wheel and then the crank, for the pedals was just on the front wheel. So when you turned, the wheel would hit your leg, but you're still trying to like pedal it, and even for me, as tall as I was, they were a bitch to ride. We're trying to do races. I did one. You could tell every crank I did a burnout. It was just like.
That was probably the funniest thing I saw, though. I mean,
I
people
burned out
going
some
out.
6th gear.
And they would go out on opposite sides and then turn towards each other around a person.
Yeah, we didn't just do a straight line race. We're like, no, you got to turn around and go back. Because I did the first race and I lost it on that first stretch. And then I yelled out, I was like, turn around and go back. So we did it. And then that's what everybody else did.
Steven had changed the rules so he could win.
We threw a trash can out there.
Basketball or something.
You can't change the rules.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess we could talk about today. That was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was really good.
For a while.
I can't wait to see the video. We took a little bit of GoPro footage. And,
I'm gonna try to put some type of edit to it, so it's better.
Instead of just the whole thing.
So we left Sturgis and we went to Spearfish Canyon because we were trying to figure out where to go and time it right, and with all the people that are showing up today, and we didn't kind of want to be spread out all over the place or backtracking a lot, so we did Spearfish Canyon. And obviously, we wanted to fucking ride it like jackasses. And so as soon as we hit it, like I think I put the gun to my head and showed you. I was like, "This sucks, dude."
Yeah, well, following behind 20 slow bikes.
Yeah, 20 slow bikes and trikes and all this shit. So I saw there was a straightaway, and I kind of saw along like enough of a gap that we could just pass them. So we did it, and we were able to kind of honestly get some good ass riding in.
Yeah.
I got all that on video too, so that's cool. But
like we hit a good gap.
Yeah.
Of between slow people and the next people, and then passing the slow people in front of those people. But
it's so crazy. I think we were fucking assholes on that road, dude.
Yeah.
We made no friends.
When we went and stopped, I was like, I hope no one that we really pissed off pulls into this bar behind us.
Yeah.
And sees because I mean, you got Jace's bike, like you can't miss that. I've got 188 on the front of my bike. I still have my numbers on it because I'm not going to take them off and put them on every single time from the track. Steve's bike, how many bikes do you see with an inverted front end on it? And we're blasting past these guys, double yellow, like into a corner at 80 miles an hour.
Splitting it, like there's bikes on one side and on this side, and we're splitting down the middle of them. And it was it was fun. Yeah. I fucking had a good time on it, and. Yeah.
So then we decided to grab the GoPro, and Bob on the back of his Dyna has already had a GoPro mount, that he'd face forward for when he does track days. You can watch the body positioning moving, but also we put the GoPro backwards. So then he's filming from behind, and everything. And then Jace is creeping right up on the back of him, slaying in some corners. And then I get in front of him and then get right behind it. So it was some cool footage. We're out ripping. We made it 3 minutes.
So we said, we were leaving. We were in at the end of Spearfish Canyon, and I think I said, "Let's just do this for 5 minutes and then stop, and we'll, redo the GoPro thing." And we made. And I told her, I was like, "Hey, there's lots of cops on this road. It's like one of the main roads coming into Sturgis, but it didn't register."
Yeah.
Because I think we felt invincible after what we just got away with at Spearfish Canyon. So it's funny. The video's 3 minutes and 20-something seconds, and then we got popped. Or you got popped, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Yep,
I thought we were gonna all get tickets, but
I dipped out. I passed you guys.
Well, I was
I went farther on down the road.
Don't worry, guys. Like Steve is never gonna take one for the team.
Yeah, if you ever get in trouble, he's fucking gone.
I pulled over first. He went around me at that point, and then I went past you guys slowly. I was waiting for him to like point me over, and then he didn't. He looked at me. He looked back at you guys, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'm going to go down the road.
Yeah, I mean, he passed me, so he wasn't even stopped. He was coming the other direction, driving the other direction, and I'm coming out of a corner. I'm rolling on the throttle. I have no idea how fast I'm going because I'm not looking at my speedo. I'm just looking at the road and kind of feeling it out. Like you don't need to look at your speed at all. And definitely, if you're out ripping and like going out, even if it's track day, whatever, or on canyons, don't look at your speed. Just feel it out. Like understand how the bike's going to handle in situations. It's not about like, oh, I want to go 40 miles an hour into this corner. So anyways, I'm coming out of this corner. I just roll on the throttle. And all of a sudden I see a car coming towards me and I'm like, oh shit, there's a light bar on top of that. And so like, I start to slow down a little bit. I grab my brakes because I don't want to make it super obvious on the off chance that he's not running radar or something. He just doesn't notice. And as soon as he passes me, my head rips around and I just see brake lights. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. He's got me.
Yeah,
all right.
He dipped into the grass and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny because 3 minutes.
3 minutes and 20 seconds into a rip. Yep.
Yeah. I was a little nervous.
That road was a little bit, it was good. It was a lot more open. There wasn't as many people going the direction we were, but it didn't really have much of a shoulder. Yeah. It was kind of dropped off and shit. Yeah. And I don't know why that kind of bothers me sometimes on roads.
There's no room for error then. Yeah. You accidentally dip it too far. It's a little just 6-inch drop, but 6-inch drop at 70 miles an hour
leaned
in a
over
corner,
or some shit.
You're flipping and flying, man.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good day. And I mean, it was all sweepers too. I mean, this wasn't a super tight road that we were on. So we're, bombing 80 plus in a corner. You make a mistake, it's a bad mistake.
Yeah. That spearfish one was sweet though. There was some nice, like tighter corners.
Yeah. Caution 20, caution 25 mile an hour.
I wasn't quite dragging my floorboards, but I was dragging my boots hanging off.
When I had the GoPro on my helmet, from behind, it just seemed like you were about to drag the bags is what it was looking like in some spots.
Yeah. I still had like 1/4 inch left of chicken strip on my rear tire. I used up all my front tire, but my rear tire is still a little chicken strip left. So
yeah, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get there or not. You might start dragging hard parts.
I was gonna say when I drag floorboards, I still have about an eighth inch left of chicken strip. So I don't know how much farther I can lean that bike.
When you start dragging the floor, like something like the floorboards or whatever, does it? I mean, obviously you don't want to do that, right? Like, but it's kind of necessary in some areas. It would just suck if you were doing it like on a road and you hit like a crack or some shit.
Yeah, at least like, my bike's lifted up. I got like the inverted front end, but then the extension in the front. I got the 14 1/4 rears, 13 1/4 with a 1-inch extension. So like when my floorboards hit, I'm pretty leaned over, but they still have that little bit of give where they'll give up. And then I've had it before where I've jammed the floorboards in the ground, coming into a 35.
So the bagger floorboards, they'll just fold up.
They'll fold up a little bit. So you still have like a little bit, depending on how high your bike is though, some people hit mounts, if you're running like a 12-inch rear shock, they might actually
I think Mark hits the mounts on his bike.
Yeah, the new Softails are kind of weird how the mounts are because they come off the front of the frame and they roll back. So, if you're hitting like floorboards and mounts, the mounts get sketchy because then that's when you lift a rear tire, and you slide across the lane, you go off that little 6-inch drop, so you got to watch yourself on that and know how your bike is. And
another thing with that too, I mean, that's I think when Nofi was on, he was talking about trail braking and stuff like that. Yeah. And I mean, that's so big as a skill to learn when you're on the track and then use it on the road too, because if you start to run on a lean angle like that, you can grab a couple more points of brake. And that tightens your radius. You don't need to have the bike leaned over as much. Like a lot of times people do these safety courses and stuff, and they tell you never grab your brakes ever in a corner if you're leaned over. Like that's just not correct. Don't stab at them. Never ever stab at them on everything. Whether it's picking up the throttle or grabbing the brakes, has to be really, really smooth. Yeah. Really minor adjustments. But if you just grab a couple more points of brake or stay off the throttle, and like one of the things I like to do on public roads at least is I don't get back on the throttle until I can see the exit of the corner. Yeah. So if you can't see the exit of the corner, stay trail braking. Worst case scenario, I was a little slow through that corner. Oh darn! But you made it through. Yeah. It allows you to change if you see gravel.
They'll say darn up there.
What?
They'll say darn up there.
Dude, he's got a bunch of funny sayings.
Oh
jeez. But yeah, another thing I want to add to that is with like throttle and everything. Like be smooth with your throttle. Don't be so choppy. You get some people, it's like floor it and then they chop off it,
I think I'm doing that pretty bad.
And then it's like if you start to get smoother with your throttle, your ons and your offs, you really use that engine, to bring you through a corner without, with it being predictable. You get too choppy with it, and next thing you know, like if you have a lot of compression, you can lock up your rear tire just by chopping off the throttle, depending on how your bike is and how big a motor you got and everything.
And what clutch you have in it. I mean, you have a little bit more play in the baggers because they have the cush drive at least, so it'll have a little bit of give in it. But if you got, a Recluse like torque drive clutch, you got a Barnett in there, you get rid of your comp eliminator, you have your comp eliminator in your bike and a chain drive, like there's no give there. So if you just start chopping on stuff, it doesn't matter how good your suspension is, you're going to upset the bike. It's going to kind of throw you around a little bit. You want to
I think that's what it's doing. I think that's what I'm doing. It is kind of a messy situation with my hand on the throttle whenever I'm like today doing some of those roads I felt like that. So
yeah. I even have it sometimes. I've been trying to do some wheelies on the bagger and everything. I'm not good at it by any means, but like it comes up so fast with like the 124, and then I get so like choppy on the throttle, and I just would like, I want to get that in my mind to like throw a little rear brake at it to slow it down coming up instead of like, getting so choppy on the throttle. Like, you're still keeping the power there, but then, a little brake, slow it down, find your little balance point and everything. But, my buddy Sketchy Glide, he's got that FXRT converted 2014 Street Glide. That guy can throw down some wheelies on a bagger and everything. And then his buddy Anthony, he's got a 2018 Lowrider. He has a little Sporty that he can wheelie pretty damn good.
Yeah, I feel like the Sporties. What do you think about Sporties on the track? Do you think that's a good bike to kind of track out?
Excellent bike. As far as the Harley lineup, the Sporty's probably one of the better bikes that you can start with. I mean, they had the whole XR 1200 series, which was Harley's on the track. That bike's set up great for it. To me, I mean, it's cool. Like, I don't care what you ride at the track. If you're at the track, like, that's awesome. Like, love to see you there. That's great. It doesn't have as much of an allure for me because it's a little bit more set up for it. A Roadster, Sportster Roadster would be a great track bike.
So you're doing all this shit on your Dyna. I guess it's probably not the same as far as like, the wobble issues that happen on those bikes. That's more of a high speed, like riding kind of thing, right? And on the track, you're kind of maintaining.
I mean, I'm over 100 miles an hour in some spots on the track. Yeah. Depending on the track, like I was topping my bike out at Road America, as fast as it would basically get me in that amount of time. You're probably 115, 116 is about where I was at, still on a stock motor, like I said. So Blackhawk, I hit like 105 in the main straight. It's a pretty short straight. But as far as the wobble issues go, too, a lot of times what happens with people seeing that wobble is that stock suspension's so bad on those bikes that you have the different spring rates, and they're bouncing at different rates, they're rebounding at different rates. The valving's not good at all. I mean, the technology in the front of a Harley, the valving, at least on like the 13 Dyna that I have, it's dual damping rod forks. Like, you basically have a single orifice that the oil's going through, and it's not really responding the way that you're supposed to.
So basically kind of like focusing on the suspension of the bike helps out with that situation a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, today we were on the highway. We probably hit 110 at least at one point in time, and I had one hand on my bars. I mean, I have a steering dampener on the front. It's just a cheap drag specialty steering dampener because I thought I needed it, but really what the issue was is I was super hard on my bars and braking. I wasn't bracing properly with my legs. And it was upsetting the bike, and I was like, "Oh, the bike just wobbles because it's a Dyna," making excuses for my shitty riding. And
so the grip that you have on the tank, is that for that reason, or?
Yeah, that's exactly for that reason. So there's two things that I use. I have tank grippers. It looks like shit, but I don't really care because it's functional. Basically, both things that I use it for. One is braking, and then cornering as well. As you start to get your butt off the bike, it's a point of contact with your knee where you can just slam your knee into those tank grippers basically and hold yourself onto the bike so you're not slipping off, because my seat that I have is like sitting on ice basically when you're in leathers. I mean, it doesn't grip at all.
So you were talking about that last night. Explain a little bit more with the whole being heavy on your bars. Like you were saying, pinching your tank and everything. You know, so
So a lot of times what happens, because it's natural, right? Like if you're going to be stopping and slowing down, your body wants to move forward. A lot of times what people do, since your arms are right in front of you, is you basically lock up your arms and put all of your weight on your bars. And what that does is it puts more and more pressure on that front wheel and on that suspension, and it really brings out the inefficiencies in that suspension as you're braking. If there's any sort of setting issues, or maybe you haven't put an adjustable front end on it, like an Olin's type cartridge system or inverted front end yet, and it's just going to upset the bike because of all of the pressure that you have on your bars. I mean, even in the corners, you don't want to be hanging onto your bars. You basically rest your hands and give little inputs to counter steer, and everything comes from your legs and your core. You want to be balanced. That's
it's like what Wes said. He said that at the end of the track day, your arms should feel fine, but your thighs and legs and your abs should feel like that's where the bike is being ridden from.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. So it keeps the center of mass a little bit better too. I mean, I don't really understand the full science behind it. I can definitely feel the difference when you're way too heavy on the bars. Even still, I'll catch myself like holding on or death gripping if you cook it a little too hard into a corner. And just having the ability to brace and stay connected and be on your bike. And that was one of the biggest tips that I got from one of the control riders my first track day is, I used to ride with my knees just like out in the wind, sitting there man spreading or whatever they call it.
Man spread.
The, progressive people these days that get mad about things. But, yeah,
they don't listen to this podcast. We say fag all the time.
Yeah,
it's good,
right? Yeah. So, like, I'd have my knees way out in the wind, and then all my weight's on the bars for everything, and the bike is like shaking all over the place. Whereas if you pinch the tank with your knees when you're riding aggressively and in braking, it's going to keep the bike settled a lot better, and it's going to keep you more connected to it and get weight off your bars. So, I mean, that's one of the big things. I'd like to get cutouts in my tank at some point.
Another thing we were talking about too is how, like, you when you're doing this kind of riding, you kind of run lower bars.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts behind all that? And that's where we were talking about before, when it's like it's hard to build the perfect track bike that you also ride,
right,
and you travel on and shit. Because me, I don't want to travel with 10-inch bars. Like, I want to travel with exactly what I got, but they are kind of high for doing some very aggressive riding, at 14 inches.
Right. Yeah. So really the biggest thing with the high bars is it's harder to stay light on them when you're hanging off the bike just because of your body positioning. So if you look at how like a sport bike's set up, right, you've got your feet behind you. You're leaned forward at probably, 30, 40 degree angle, your torso is. And then you've got clip-ons bars super, super, super low. Yeah. And what that allows you to do is to get all of your weight over your legs and basically hold and brace with your core a little bit easier. And then as you get off the bike, one arm pretty much straightens, and it's kind of hard to explain without, video or whatever, but you can look up track riding tips and stuff on YouTube, and they'll talk through all this stuff. But as you go to lean off the bike and get your head basically outside of where your mirrors would be and your butt off the seat, so your entire torso's to the inside of the corner, when your bars are up high, you pretty much start hanging onto them for dear life because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall off. And it's something to do with it that it just felt unnatural to me there. When you get your bars down lower, it's easier to give that little bit of input basically when you're, counter steering. Yeah. It's easier to hang on to the bike and brace yourself a little bit better and just stay planted.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that because, like you just said, when you're off the bike, you're kind of like your field of vision, if you got a helmet on and stuff.
Your mouth is in your bicep, you know, when you're hanging off. But if they're a little bit lower, your head's above your bicep, and you're
How far, when you're in the corners, like what's your average, like where are you looking? Like how far ahead would you say? Like a couple car lengths or...
I'm looking as far ahead as I possibly can. I'm looking where I want to put the bike. So, like I said earlier, like I won't get back on the throttle until ideally. I mean, I do sometimes, but ideally, I don't want to be back on the throttle until I can see the exit of the corner. So if you're riding like out in the Black Hills, there's a lot of blind corners. You don't know what's coming around that corner.
And is it going to get tighter as you go? You know?
So when I'm going right for me, basically. With the way that my vision is going to work is first I'm going to look kind of where I want to turn in. So I'm going to look at the turn that's coming, stay on the outside, look at where I want to start the turn, be like, okay, this is where I think I want to start the turn. As soon as I know that spot, my head's going to move to where I want to apex, right? And so then you see where you want to apex. As soon as you turn the bike and you get the bike leaned over, then you're looking up, and I will look, say I'm turning right, I'm looking at the shoulder on the right side of the road, like completely looking all the way through, head turned all the way, because your bike's going to go where you look.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you come into a corner hot, a lot of times people, they'll freak out.
And they stare at the grass in front of you.
They stare straight, and guess where they go? That's when you end up, crossing the double yellow, being a splattered bug on the front of a Suburban or, off the road on the other side.
Yeah.
So just look where you want to go. Even if it's a little hot, just keep looking and keep looking. If you're already leaned over, commit, keep looking, and you should be able to get through the corner unless you really messed up on something.
Yeah, I agree to that because it is like that. You're kind of like when you feel like you're coming in too hot.
Yeah.
You start staring at the thing that's making you feel like you're coming in too hot instead of getting into the process of like
how am I going to correct this fuck up?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
How did I mess up, and then where am I going to go, and how am I going to?
That's another thing too with vision. I mean, your vision when you're looking is where you're looking when you're riding is so important. And a lot of times I'll even catch myself still doing it, even though I know I shouldn't do it, where, I'll be following someone around. Like we rode when Steve and I were riding today, and, even Jace, like they're fast, like they're out there, they're ripping it. Like they're not, going slow through corners. And if they're in front of you, a lot of times what you do is you catch yourself looking at the person in front of you, not looking at you where you want to put your bike. And you can't always trust, like, yeah, you guys are both good riders, but you might have a shitty line into something or, see something else, change your path.
I feel like I can ride faster when I'm chasing somebody, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I feel like that with Mark. Like when I get up behind Mark, like Mark just picks killer lines and everything, and I'm watching him, but I'm watching ahead of him and everything. But it's like you get that other person in front of you, and you kind of sometimes get that mentality of, oh, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes being the leader, it's like where do you like lay off, you're like, am I coming in too hot? Am I reading the signs? You were saying earlier that you don't really look at the speed, but like on the roads, I got my gauges mounted up high. Like if I see a 35 mile an hour corner, like I still I'm like, I can judge it, how fast I can throw it in this corner. Cause I can't always see all the way through the corner, you're in canyons and stuff. So I'll be like, all right, 35 mile an hour corner. Like I should be able to do 60 to 70, depending on how it is and everything. So, I cheat a little bit, I'll throw up, my nav or have my phone up.
Yeah, I try to do that. I try to like get an idea, not so much like the sweepers and shit, but I want to know where the hairpin corners are at.
The nav is super helpful. If I'm on a road I've never ridden before and I want to go ride it pretty hard, I would always suggest doing one slow roll through it and checking the corners.
Yep.
Depending on where you are, especially up in the upper Midwest. I mean, with the weather and stuff that we have, there could be even if you rode it a bunch last year and it's your first time out on, you had been ridden in a while. There could be potholes. There could be a new tar snake. There could be gravel that someone kicked up on the road.
Up at the up north camp out, like we had a bunch of crazy rain and wind that came through, and we just went and did this like slow cruise, Saturday, when the rain finally quit. But there was a decent amount of like just washouts and like gravel across the road. If we were ripping it hard, and you didn't think about how the weather was past couple days, yeah, definitely could be gravel across the road with situations like that. I got a local road around me. It's fun, tight and twisty. It runs right next to a river. But if you hit it within a couple days of like there being rain, there's always like these three corners that there's a ton of gravel in, because the water just washes it right across. So, it's all being self-aware and, if you want to rip it hard, know where you're at.
The phone thing too, like with the unfamiliar roads, is so unbelievably nice because, like you said, you can see it's a hairpin.
Yeah.
So if you're coming into a corner and it's blind, you're in the mountains, you're somewhere where you can't see around the corner.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that was weird on the tail that I noticed is there's a lot of corners. Things start to meld together because there's a couple sections that look very, very similar, and I did 4 or 5 passes on it, so I started to feel a little bit more comfortable towards the end. But there's corners where it's a sweeper for there, which is still a really tight turn, but it feels like a sweeper because it's such a tight road.
Yeah.
And then there's a hook right at the end. So you might, think you can kind of see through it and be like, okay, I'm done with that turn. I can get back to the throttle and start, grabbing some more speed. And then all of a sudden the tightest part of the turn is right in front of you as you're grabbing more throttle and you're like, oh shit. So having the GPS up, it kind of lets you plan ahead a little bit, which is nice. And to follow up on the speed thing too, like in my mind, if I see like a 35 mile an hour corner, I'm like, okay, I can hit this, at the fourth gear, middle of the revs. If I'm like, 32, 3,300 RPMs as I'm braking, I can hit this and be totally fine. Like I'm going to make it through the corner. It's going to be totally fine. So it's just kind of like knowing where you're at on your bike too.
Yeah,
whatever that is for you. If it's quick glance at the speed, I know I can take a 35 mile an hour corner at 70 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, whatever speed that is for you. That's a great way to do it. But just don't be looking at your speedometer the whole time.
Yeah.
No.
Because you need to be looking where you want to go.
It's just that quick glance, I got my gauges mounted nice and high. Like I hate tank mounted gauges,
right?
That, and it's just like I just drop my eyes just a touch, and then I see right where my speed's at, and I'm like, it's just a judgment thing. It's like just one more thing going through your mind, when you're coming into a corner, like just being self-aware of the situation.
And do that as you're braking too, when your bike's up and down. Once you set your speed before the corner as you're coming into it. No, don't be looking at your speed as you're supposed to be turning in, because you're gonna mess up.
Yeah, it's a lot of things, man. It's hard to. It's not hard, but it can be challenging, I guess, to melt all these things together and then just go. Like, say, when we hit the badass roads from Dallas, because we have none.
Yeah.
We're usually en route somewhere, so we don't really get too much of a luxury to like you did with the Tail of the Dragon to go ride it 4 or 5 times and stay there. So I mean, it's almost like that's what the good thing about our camp out is that we had that Talamina Parkway, which is, I think it's one of the nicest.
I can't wait to ride that.
It's badass, dude.
It's like you look at it on Google Maps and like it doesn't look that insane, but the biggest thing that gets me is just the elevation change.
There's elevation
it's constant,
changes.
Like
that
hills,
shit freaks me out, dude.
It's like you're coming up over a ridge and then it's just like the road drops out from underneath you, and then it's a 20 mile an hour left, like at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So you're like, shit, fuck, brake, that.
You're
all right,
the bike
set myself for the corner. But
that's what's hard for me when because obviously living in Dallas, we don't really have elevation at all. So when you I was super stoked about going like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm keeping up with Steve and Mark on this one, and then I got like 5 turns in, like fuck that. Like that elevation shift, I can do uphill fine, but when you have that momentum of the bike and the weight coming down, and like I've already said earlier, the bagger's a real heavy bike for me for getting too technical on this stuff. But I mean, I ended up riding with my homie James, and we kept a nice pace, but it wasn't as fast as y'all, but it was faster than I've done it before.
Yeah, staying in your limits is the biggest thing. Like you could try to play that keep up game, but it's
doesn't end well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're better off riding a little bit underneath your limit too. Like that's the other thing on regular roads. If I'm pushing it hard for what I would on a regular road, it's probably 70% of what I would actually be riding at.
Yeah,
I'm never really pushing it past 70-75% of what I think I could do in that corner coming into it. I mean, save that shit for the track because it's predictable. I
kind of get like regrets after certain corners. I'm like, fuck, I could have got faster on that corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some of those today, I was like, oh, this one looks like it's going to be a serious one. I'm going to slow down. And then you get through the corner and you're like, what the fuck did I slow down
I did the same shit. It was blind, but it was a sweeper. You could have taken it 85, 90 miles an hour, and I slowed down to like 60.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what's around this corner, but every single time, 100% certainty, I would way rather take a corner too slow than too fast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, one has You Still Alive.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the rest of the plan for Sturgis for you?
I came out here not really making plans. I mean, I'm probably going to check out the FXR Dyna show tomorrow, the Bell Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to watch the flat track races. The Buffalo
That's
Chip
Sunday?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
So I might just bite the bullet, although today got a little expensive because Mr. Officer decided I needed a $170 speeding ticket.
He cut you a break, though.
He did cut me a break, yeah.
Dude, I paid before I left to go on the road, I had to go pay a ticket that I got earlier this year or this month. It was $600.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I was doing that new house that we're staying in. Like it's it's real close to the highway. But when you get out the highway, the road that I have to take is like 30 miles an hour. But it's like it's all businesses, and they're 100 yards off the road.
Yeah.
Right. So 30 miles an hour feels super fucking like slow on it.
Yeah.
So doing 45, 50 is like where it's at. So I was doing like 54. So that was a 24 mile over. And then in Texas, it's like over 20 is where you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
20 and below, it's, like the ticket you got today, $170, something like that.
Yeah, for 25 over, too. I was really surprised it was only $175.
I was going to say Michigan's like 26 and over, is when it really changes.
Which is how he helped me, because it would have been a lot more points, too. So I was going 77 and a 50. I didn't know what the speed limit was there. I didn't know how fast I was going. Like I said,
think we looked at the speed limit. That's what I'm saying. We got away with murder on fucking spearfish because we were probably...
That was a 35 mile an hour. I saw a 35 mile an hour speed limit.
And we were fucking doing 80 on that whole thing.
Yeah. I thought about that when we parked. I was like, man, if we would have gotten between the double yellow passes in the corners, the like splitting traffic, the blasting it through these corners,
all those
the
fucking
speed that we were at.
Those other bikes are just like I can only imagine how pissed they were.
Steve said he got a lot of middle fingers when he was in the back.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice.
But,
got a leg cramp. Haven't
need
drank
some
enough
bananas.
water. Too many White Claws.
that's water.
Yeah. Sparkling water. Yeah. So I'm excited, man. This house dude is gonna be fucking wild this weekend.
Yeah. Should be a good time. Good crowd.
That and looking forward to the performance show on Monday.
Yeah.
So we go to that one too. It's at the Buffalo Chip.
Yep, I'm planning on doing that one as well.
I'm not looking forward to riding home.
Yeah.
Wish I had a trailer right now.
I'm not looking forward to driving home, man. And I'm spoiled. I'm sitting in a van.
There's no, like, I was thinking about that. Like, there's no route home that I'm stoked about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the time or the money to go through, like, Colorado or something like that. So I kind of got to do the same route I took. But, I'm not looking forward to that at all.
Yeah.
I wanted to try to get to do a track day. I wanted to do one. I was actually planning on doing one on the 10th of this month, August.
Really?
But then this happened, so I'm here. So I really don't have time to go do that now.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I got a back-to-back one the 10th and 11th right when I
For
get
real?
home. Yeah.
So I don't know when I'm going to take that step, but I do want to do it. And I think it would be fun to do. And I think there's a lot of people on Harleys right now that are starting to get interested in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I've been trying to talk with some of the guys that run the shit there in Texas and say, hey, look, I know this sounds dumb, but I think that there's something to be had here with these Harley guys wanting to try this track stuff. You know what I mean? Right. So, I'm not saying you got to do them a deal or anything, but just, like be prepared for it, I guess is what I'm trying to get them to do.
Exactly. And I mean, the thing too is there's strength in numbers. Like I understand people's reservation, especially on a Harley going to a track day. I mean, people on bikes that are set up for it have reservations going to a track day, especially by themselves. If you have a buddy or two that you think would be into it, like, hey, let's go do this. Yeah. Buy some cheap leathers, just get it set up.
Our track day, or the first time you come, they'll give you leathers.
A lot of them rent them.
Yeah, and then you can rent them from there. But the first time they'll let you.
So what's
buy
the
your
cost?
own gloves.
What's the cost for like doing a track day and renting the leathers? Just so around you. I know every place is kind of different, but just some of them that you went to.
So around me, it depends on the organization that puts it together. There's 3 different organizations in the Wisconsin area that put them together. There's ZARS, MotoVid, and Sport Bike Track Time are the 3 main organizations. There might be a couple others. I haven't ridden with any of them or seen their track days. And then it depends on the track. So Road America is a nationally famous track. It's a little bit more expensive to go ride there. It's a really big track. There's a lot of cost that goes into it. Road America, I paid early bird pricing. I think it was $250 for the day.
That's not bad. Coda's like $500.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I guess that's what you get when you have a MotoGP race there.
Yeah, all the other ones in Texas are like $170.
That's exactly where it is. So Blackhawk that I go to, depending on the organization, once again, it's anywhere between $150 with early bird pricing. If you buy them, you're going to be doing track days, and you buy them in the winter. You can get them for like $150, and then at most it'll be about $200.
Nice.
How much was your speeding ticket? $170?
$170. That's a track day right there. Yep, exactly. I mean, that's a track day right there.
But you got to pay to play.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, when we got into Sturgis yesterday, we stopped by Black Hills Harley and checked out. We got pretty fucked up at D&D's booth. They had the margarita machine.
Damn margarita machine, man.
We checked out Clockworks was there and saw Mr. Dixon. And then Thundermax, we ended up going. That was a good time hanging out with them last night.
Yep.
They put one of those fans on my bike now, and I'm like stoked because when I put that what do they call that thing? The head-up display.
The screen.
So I got the screen for the Thundermax computer on my bike, and it gives me too much information, so it makes me worry about the bike a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was really worried about the temperature that those bikes get up to, the M8s. So we were riding in Cali, and I was getting up to just on the highway riding normally, not sitting in traffic. But on the highway, it'd be like 380 degrees.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I ended up texting, I was like, hey man, so is this okay? because I was thinking it was like the sumping or something was going on, and just not the oil wasn't.
We were running super lean, or
so. He's like, no, we've seen them up into the 420 range, and I've heard that from a few people now.
Yeah, because now on the Milwaukee 8 compared to the twin cam, from what I understand, the head temp sensor, the temp sensor is now on the rear head compared to the twin cam. It was on the front head. Yeah. So people are comparing their old twin cam, temperatures from the front head, and then, more critical rear head with less airflow. Now you're taking the temperature off that, but.
Yeah, so they ended up hooking me up with a fan for the,
behind the oil cooler.
Yeah, so they have a nice little setup, and it's awesome because it's like.
They're saying compared to the Harley one, the Harley one, you gotta crack the oil lines and change something out. Theirs installs in like 15 minutes. It plugs right in the factory plug. If you have the Thunder Max, it's already in the software to control it. And then if you have, Harley computer and a Power Vision or whatever, that fan will still work, but you just need to enable it, in the software, which you can get done with like a dealer flash, like anything.
So how's that work then? Does it kick on at like,
dude, it's
20 Fahrenheit, or is it on all the time?
Well, it'll cut on, the way they're explaining it to me, it cuts on, 190 or 200 degrees, and then if it's less than 20 miles an hour, so it's more for like low speed when you're in traffic, you're not getting the airflow, because there's no point in running a fan when you're going down the highway through your oil cooler, but it still flows the same amount of air through.
Yeah, they said it's supposed to be like a 14 to 15% increase or decrease in the heat on everything. So it's I don't know, I dig it. I think it's cool. I more than anything, I'm just knowing more about the motor, more about the operating, and being able to be aware of that, because I didn't want my shit to blow up. So
yeah, if I saw 380 on my twin cam, I'd be pulling off the side of the road and freaking out. I have to say, I have the Power Vision on mine with the little display right there, and I've got temperature. I think, what do I even run on there? It's temperature, speed, and then my tack. Yeah, the only three pieces of information that I put on there.
Well, see, since I have the T-bars, I can't see my gauges at all, and if I was to do that kit that you got, like I'm not tall enough for that shit. Maybe the MJK little bar mount setup would work well, but that Thunder Max screen works great for me because it gives me everything I need right there. So I got the temperature, I got the speed, RPMs, and there's another thing on there I forgot. Brain fart right now. There's another readout that I usually have on there.
You can do your AFRs on it.
Yeah, it has all that stuff, but it's on a different screen that I don't use.
I have a gear position sensor on mine too that I'll use, but it hasn't been working. Or hasn't ever worked where it'll actually tell me what gear it is. So there's just a blank box that says gear, and it never tells me what gear I'm in. But I've got the tank speedo. So if I want to look at my speedo, and now I can't even see it because I put a GoPro mount on it. So there's a GoPro mount sitting over my speedo. I should have.
What is that one for?
That. What?
What is that one for?
So you can't run a GoPro on your helmet at the track. And so I put one there to see how it would look if I put it on a wide view facing forward, just looking at my bars.
So you don't run with the fairing on it at the track, do you?
I do. So I take all my lights off. I have it wired up. I've got like the curved radius license plate in the back that's just got the two LEDs on it. And that's my brake and turn. You can barely see it. It's dangerous as shit, but I don't really care.
Yeah, breaking the law.
I guess. I mean, it sort of works. I just make sure I look in my one little mirror that vibrates really bad to make sure no one's gonna make sure no one's gonna run me over, because that comes off for the track too. But I've got that hooked up on just quick disconnect, so it's 3 bolts, and I pull that whole harness out. Have nothing on the rear fender, and then my headlight too. It's 1 bolt that I take off and 1 disconnect. Take those off for the track. Mirror comes off. Kickstand comes off. You don't have to do any of this for your first track day. You need to tape up your lights. So get painter's tape and tape up your lights. You need to put duct tape over your wheel weights, which is one that people often forget, but most of the organizations will have duct tape there. If you forget, they'll just make you put it on. And then you have to either tape up your mirrors or take your mirrors off, depending on the organization.
Yeah, I think they say take them off at the ones in Texas.
I would say take them off. If you have the ability to take lights off, like on a Dyna, it's super easy. On a touring bike, it's not going to be that easy. You're just going to be taping shit up. Personally, if I were taking a bagger out on the track, I would also take the bags off.
Yeah, see, I was talking about that with someone.
I don't know, man. It's like
it looks sick though with the bags. You got to do something for the gram.
I know, but
Gonna go take my bagless bagger out on the track.
It's not a bagger anymore, and you don't get the.
It's true.
Well, it's better
than
the
love.
It's better than me in Sturgis last year. I laid my bike down in the Buffalo Chip. At night driving around. Just gave it a little Jaeger throttle, and then I broke one of the bags off. So I rode around Sturgis all last year with just one bag on it.
I almost ate it last night when I hit it in that grass.
I watched you do that, and I was like,
I tried to play it off.
That's like the same thing I did. It just came right around.
Was that back at the campsite? Or?
So when we first pulled in, we went to the other side. We didn't know y'all were by the teepees over there, so we had turned around, and I kind of goosed it a little bit in one spot, and it got a little sideways. Yeah. It felt cool as shit. I tried it. I did try to do something.
Yeah.
I tried to do a little, burnout kind of thing. Not, I don't know if it's a burnout, but
no,
I just tried to get on it a little bit like it would spin the tire. I wasn't expecting the tire to go to the left.
Right. That grass is, kind of wet or just dewy at that point or something, but... Yeah, I was like, don't do that. I had experience with that.
Nice. Well, shit, we're good, man. So tell everybody how to follow you and stuff on...
Cool. Yeah, so Instagram, it's @theaveragelifeofbob. That's about it. My name's Bob. I'm from Wisconsin. If you're in Wisconsin at all, hit me up. We can go ride. Unless it's winter, then we could just get drunk. If you want to do a track day around that area at all, let me know. Right now, if I make it through the 10th and the 11th without blowing up my motor, it should be fine. We'll see. But if nothing on the bike breaks or I don't crash or anything like that, I'm going to try to get down to mid-Ohio over Labor Day. So if you're in the Ohio area and want to do a track day down there, let me know. If you have any questions about track stuff, getting through tech, what kind of gear you need, setting up the bike, whatever it is. Happy to help. Just want to see more people getting into it and getting out there ripping Harleys, doing dumb shit on bikes that aren't meant for it. So
fuck yeah. All right, let's go party some more.
Hell yeah.
Really hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm sorry for the what do you call it? Just the wind. It was windy out there, and then I didn't really have the volume set high enough to capture their voices clearly. So that's kind of on my bad on this podcast. But I really enjoyed the conversation, man. It was a really good one. Both of those guys ride so fucking good, and I just hope to one day be able to keep up with them pretty thoroughly, if that's the right way to put it. Anyway, I also want to thank Simpson Motorcycle Helmets on Instagram and simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com. Check out all their products there. Dream Rides John on Instagram and teamdreamrides.com, and Fast Life at checkout for 10% off. Kevin at Big Bear Choppers on Instagram and bigbearperformance.com, and you can always give them a call at 909-478-7788. I also want to thank Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and painthuffer.com, and don't forget you can use Fast Life at checkout for 15% off. I would also like to thank Lindahl Brakes on Instagram and lindahlbrakes.com, and once again Fast Life at checkout for 10% off on your purchases on their website. And my guys over at Lex and Moto on Instagram and lexandmotorcycle.com. And once again, Fast Life at checkout for 15% off. Thank you guys for checking out this podcast. It was a really fun time in Sturgis. I wish I would have stayed longer. Just had a lot of shit going on at home. Needed to get back to work. And, here we are. So it's August. We got some more podcasts coming for you this month. Looking forward to things. And we're actually going to be upgrading a lot of our equipment next month. And actually, we are so fucking close to having a full video podcast where we'll be doing live podcasts in the Joe Rogan manner, where you'll be able to catch it live, and then a couple hours later, a day later, we'll have it uploaded on YouTube. So if you guys get a chance, go start following our YouTube and things like that, and you'll be able to stay up to date with that stuff. So thank you again, and we'll be back soon with more podcasts for you guys.